Have you ever carried a secret so heavy that even sitting across from a trusted therapist, you couldn't bring yourself to say it out loud? It's like holding a box you never open. Not because no one cares, but because the contents feel too complicated, too embarrassing, or simply too personal. Where do we begin when the words get stuck? Today, let's walk through this together. Not with judgment, but with gentle curiosity. Because family life, relationships, and even retirement often bring moments we keep tucked away. And maybe, just maybe, naming them, even privately, can open a path to healing. When we talk about the weight of untold stories, it's not always about dramatic confessions or earth-shattering truths. More often, it's the quiet, ordinary experiences that we keep tucked away because we believe no one else would understand. Imagine sitting at a family dinner where laughter fills the room, the clinking of silverware creates a rhythm, and yet one person at the table feels a lump in their throat. They smile, they nod, they pass the dishes, but behind that smile sits a memory they've never spoken aloud. That memory, that unshared story, begins to feel like a stone in the pocket, always there, shaping how we move through life, even when no one else can see it. Untold stories gather power in silence. They grow heavier the longer they remain unspoken, not because the story itself becomes more frightening, but because our fear of how others might react grows over time. We start to imagine the worst: rejection, judgment, disappointment. A father may carry the guilt of a decision he made years ago, like selling a family property under pressure, and though his children have long moved on, he replays the choice silently, never admitting the shame. The burden doesn't just sit in his memory, it shows up in the way he avoids certain conversations, the way he hesitates to talk about money, the way his shoulders droop just a little when family milestones are celebrated. Sometimes, the untold story isn't even about a mistake. It could be a dream we abandoned. A grandmother may have once wanted to be a teacher, but life pushed her in a different direction. She never speaks of it because she doesn't want her family to think she regrets her role as a mother and caregiver. Still, that unspoken dream lingers inside her, shaping how she sees her own worth. By keeping it locked away, she denies herself the chance to let her children or grandchildren learn from it, to see that unfulfilled dreams can still carry meaning and inspiration. The curious thing about secrets is that when we finally bring them into the light, even gently, they often shrink in size. A private journal entry, a whispered confession to a trusted friend, or even speaking it aloud in an empty room can feel like lifting that stone from the pocket. We realize the story does not define us, it is simply part of the path we've walked. The weight lessens, not because the past changes, but because we stop carrying it alone. And sometimes, just that small release is enough to make space for more joy, more connection, and more peace in the present moment. Silence can feel like a shield. We choose not to say certain things because we want to protect someone we love, or because we don't want to reopen an old wound that still stings. A mother might hold back her financial worries so her children won't feel burdened. A husband might stay quiet about a past mistake because he believes admitting it would only cause pain. In those moments, silence feels like an act of love, a way of keeping peace. It lets daily life continue smoothly, with smiles and routines untouched by the heaviness of truth. On the surface, this seems safe, even noble. But over time, that protective silence can turn into something else. It begins to create distance, a quiet wall between people who actually care about one another. A daughter may sense that her father is worried but cannot put her finger on why. She notices his distracted gaze, his half-hearted responses, the way he avoids certain topics. She interprets this silence as disinterest, when in reality, he is carrying something he simply cannot bring himself to share. The intention to protect ends up leaving both sides lonelier. The paradox is that silence does protect, but it also isolates. Families often communicate through more than just words, through tone, body language, even pauses. When a secret sits between loved ones, those subtle signals change. A warm laugh feels just slightly forced. A shared meal feels slightly hollow. Everyone senses something is missing, but no one knows exactly what it is. That unknown becomes its own presence in the room, sometimes heavier than the truth would have been. This doesn't mean every private thought needs to be spoken. Some things are deeply personal and may never need to leave our lips. But when silence is chosen only out of fear, it can quietly erode intimacy. Relationships thrive on openness, on the simple act of letting another person see us fully. To break the isolation, the first step may not be a full confession. It might be a small gesture, a hint of vulnerability, a moment of honesty, a sentence that says, "I've been holding something in, and it's been hard." Even that small crack in the wall can let light through. When we dare to open the silence just a little, we often discover that the people we love can hold more than we expected. And even if they cannot, speaking our truth gently can ease the loneliness that silence creates. In that way, protection and connection can finally walk hand in hand. Money is one of those topics that can sit quietly in the background of family life, unspoken but always present. In retirement, the weight of financial secrets can grow heavier because the options for recovery feel more limited. A parent may not want to admit that their savings are running lower than expected, or that investments didn't turn out the way they had hoped. They fear that speaking it aloud will cause their adult children to worry, or worse, to lose confidence in them. So the secret remains tucked away, creating private stress that shows up in sleepless nights or a constant tightening in the chest. For many families, financial silence is passed down like a tradition. Talking about money is seen as impolite or unnecessary. Yet retirement often exposes the cracks in that silence. A couple may avoid telling their children they're struggling to cover rising medical bills, not wanting to appear weak. A widow may quietly worry about outliving her savings, but never share this fear, believing it's her burden alone. These untold stories about money don't just affect the person holding them. They ripple into the family through subtle choices, declining invitations to travel, quietly cutting back on gifts, or becoming unusually tense when bills arrive. The truth is, financial struggles in retirement are not uncommon. Markets change, health needs increase, and sometimes even the best laid plans fall short. Acknowledging this reality doesn't make someone a failure, it simply makes them human. Small, practical steps may not erase the stress completely, but they can lighten it. Simple budgeting, keeping track of expenses, or even downsizing to a home that feels more manageable are common strategies that bring relief. For some, opening a quiet conversation with adult children about shared responsibilities or future plans can create unexpected support, not shame. The surprising twist is that talking about money, even in limited, careful ways, can actually strengthen family bonds. A grandfather who admits that the family vacation might need to be shorter than usual can invite his children into problem-solving rather than carrying the worry alone. A couple who quietly adjusts their lifestyle without explanation may create confusion, but if they share the reasoning, it becomes an opportunity for everyone to learn and grow together. Secrets about money don't have to remain locked away. When handled with gentleness and honesty, they can become moments of connection, wisdom, and even relief. Sometimes the hardest part is not the numbers themselves, but finding the courage to let the truth breathe. Regret in relationships has a way of lingering quietly in the corners of our hearts, even when life on the surface appears to move forward. It can come from words spoken in anger that we wish we could take back, or from words we never said at all. Maybe it is the phone call we didn't make, the apology we postponed, or the affection we withheld because pride got in the way. Over time, these small moments of regret can grow into shadows that follow us, especially as we age and look back on the relationships that shaped our lives. Often, these regrets involve people closest to us, a sibling we lost touch with, a spouse we took for granted, or even a parent we misunderstood. Imagine a man who argued with his brother years ago and let the silence stretch into decades. On the outside, he continues with his daily routines, but inside he carries the sting of unfinished business. He tells no one, perhaps not even his therapist, because admitting the regret makes it feel too real. Yet the weight of that unspoken story affects his ability to fully enjoy the present. Family gatherings feel incomplete, and laughter at the dinner table reminds him of what is missing. There is also the regret that comes after someone is gone. A wife may wish she had been more patient with her husband during the small frustrations of daily life. A daughter may wish she had told her mother how much she admired her strength. These regrets can't always be resolved directly, and that makes them especially heavy. But hidden regrets don't have to remain locked inside forever. Simple rituals, like writing a letter to the person we've lost or sitting quietly with a candle while remembering them, can give us space to express what was never said. The act doesn't erase the past, but it honors the love that was there and acknowledges the human imperfection in all relationships. The surprising truth is that even regrets can become a source of wisdom. When shared gently with children or grandchildren, they can serve as lessons in humility, forgiveness, and the importance of speaking love while we still have the chance. By bringing hidden regrets into the open, even in symbolic or private ways, we begin to release their grip. They transform from silent burdens into gentle reminders that connection is precious and time is fragile. And that awareness, though born from regret, can deepen the way we love those who are still with us. We often hear the advice that secrets should always be shared, that speaking them aloud is the only way to heal. But the truth is more complicated. Not every secret needs to be told, at least not in the way we usually imagine. Some experiences are too personal, too sacred, or too deeply woven into our identity to hand over in words. Sharing everything is not always the path to peace. Sometimes, the act of transforming a secret into something meaningful is more powerful than exposing it. Consider the person who carries shame from a mistake made decades ago. Speaking it out loud to others may not bring comfort, it may even reopen pain. Instead, channeling that memory into art, into poetry, or into advice for a younger generation can be its own form of release. The secret remains unspoken, yet its energy shifts into something constructive. It no longer hides in the dark, it finds expression in a new, gentler light. In this way, silence is not denial, but a choice to shape the story differently. There are also secrets that belong to us alone, the kinds that protect our sense of privacy and autonomy. A grandmother may have endured struggles in her youth that she chooses not to tell her children about. This doesn't mean she is dishonest or withholding love. It means she has decided that some chapters of her life serve her better as private wisdom than as public confession. Her family may still feel the strength and resilience born from those experiences, even if the details are never spoken. The unexpected gift of this approach is freedom. When we recognize that not all secrets must be told, we give ourselves permission to stop battling the pressure of full disclosure. Healing doesn't always come from sharing. Sometimes it comes from reframing, from finding a safe and personal outlet that honors the experience without giving it away. Writing it in a letter we never send, whispering it in prayer, or turning it into a lesson shared in symbolic form allows us to release its weight while still protecting its privacy. The important shift is in realizing that a secret does not have to define us or hold power over us. Whether spoken or kept, it can be acknowledged and transformed. What matters is not always telling, but choosing how we live with it. With dignity, with creativity, and with peace. Beginning with safe conversations is often the most gentle and realistic way to approach the secrets we carry. When something feels too big to speak aloud in its raw form, breaking it down into smaller, safer pieces can make the weight easier to hold. A safe conversation doesn't have to dive straight into the heart of the secret. It can start with a feeling, a hint, or even a carefully chosen metaphor. For example, instead of telling a friend or family member the full story, someone might begin with, "I've been carrying something that makes me feel tired." Or, "There's a memory that I still think about, and it's hard for me." These words don't reveal everything, but they open the door. They let another person know there is something beneath the surface without exposing the entire truth before we are ready. Safe conversations can also happen in places we least expect. A walk with a trusted friend, a quiet drive with a spouse, or even a late night chat with an adult child can create natural spaces where walls feel lower. Sometimes, the setting matters as much as the words. Talking side by side while folding laundry or gardening may feel easier than sitting face to face at a table. These small, everyday moments can become the ground where heavier truths are slowly planted. It's important to remember that safe conversations are not about immediate solutions or full confessions. They are about testing the waters of trust and connection. They give us the chance to notice how it feels to be partially vulnerable, to share just enough, and then step back if it becomes overwhelming. Over time, these small steps can lead to deeper honesty, but they also offer relief even if the full story never comes out. For some, safe conversations begin in private, with a journal, a voice memo, or even speaking out loud in an empty room. These acts may not involve another person, but they prepare the mind and heart for connection later. By practicing the language in solitude, we rehearse what it feels like to give form to what has been wordless. The beauty of beginning this way is that it reminds us we don't have to leap across the entire canyon of silence all at once. We can cross slowly, stone by stone, with each safe conversation serving as a steady step forward. Over time, these small steps build the courage to go deeper, and they often reveal that the people who love us are ready to listen with more compassion than we had feared. We all carry untold stories. Some protect us, some weigh us down. The courage is not always in telling everything, but in knowing where to begin, even if that beginning is a whispered thought to ourselves. If this spoke to you, take a moment to share your story, even a small piece of it, in the comments. You never know who might find comfort in your words. And if you prefer to keep it private, simply write it down for yourself tonight. That, too, is a brave beginning.